Welcome to the Manifestation and Money podcast, Jessie.
Hi, thanks, Jen, for having me.
I am so excited to have you on the show today, and I would love for you to share with the listeners just who you are and what your story is.
Yeah, absolutely. So my story, I am a buy and hold real estate investor. I know you own some rental properties as well up in Canada. My whole portfolio is in Columbus, Ohio, but my story did not start in Columbus, Ohio. I am not from Ohio. I just kind of wound up here a little bit on a whim. That was 8 years ago, which is hard to believe. And we're still here, still buying rentals every day. But my story started in Austin, Texas, where I grew up. I went to college. You know, society says you buy a house, you get a job, you have kids, you get a big girl job, you go and do all this stuff. And I did do some of it, but I did not do all of it. And so thankfully, one of the smart things that I did was I bought a crappy little condo. It was $92,000. And I put down my entire life savings to buy this place. And I know 92K in Austin, it sounds unreal, but this is like 2012, timeline. So I bought that, lived there for a couple years, and I could afford the mortgage on paper, but it wasn't really like I didn't want all my money going to my mortgage. So I got smart and I started renting out some of the rooms in the property. And I was really kind of house hacking before I even knew that house hacking was a term. So a couple years passed by. I'm paying the bills, but that's really it. I don't really have a mortgage payment, so I'm able to save some money. My partner and I at the time, he was one of the roommates, and we actually split. And so I knew that it would be too hard emotionally to live in the condo. I knew that it would be crazy to sell it because I just bought it. Prices were going crazy in Austin at that time. And then I knew that I couldn't just have a property sitting there vacant. So in the span of 2 weeks, I went from living like my everyday normal life to having 4 college boys renting out my condo.
And you were still living there as well at this time, or this is when you vacated and went to a different place?
Correct. Yeah,
Okay.
I was renting a room from a friend for, 6 months, whatever, while I figured it out. But I knew that I couldn't just have a mortgage. So I moved out and I put someone in place like very quickly. And I always joke that those boys could have stopped my real estate career before I ever got started, but it didn't. They didn't. They were great.
That's one thing about students. They're that wild card in rentals, hey? Like we've had really good experience with them, a few quirks with students, but you always hear those horror stories, right? So yes, it could have gone either way for you.
Totally could have. And knowing what I know now, I didn't do any screening. I didn't do anything. I was just like, oh, you have money, come on down. And so I got really lucky. But then, so that was my first long-term rental. I just kind of fell into it that way. I didn't set out to become a housing provider. I was being savvy and scrappy with my situation and ended up really kind of falling in love, to be honest. And so 6 months or so go by. I've saved up enough money at this point. I buy another house that I live in. I rent out those rooms. Year goes by. I buy another house that I live in with conventional 5% down, owner occupant financing, super easy. And then I have 2 long-term rentals. I have roommates where I'm living, and everything's going great. I still have my W-2 job at this point. So 2016 rolls around, and I'm kind of like, I need more. I need more in this world. And so I quit my job. I moved out of my place. So I had 3 long-term rentals, and I actually went to go travel the world for all of 2016.
Ooh, that's kind of exciting.
Yeah, it was really exciting. I met my wife who, love her to death. And I met the job that brought me to Columbus. So traveling, kind of these series of events happened. And I just moved to Columbus really on a whim, honestly.
And
And
it sounds like a whim that has worked out for you.
it's worked out, yeah, very well. And so I moved here for a job. Even though 3 rentals just let me go travel the world for a year, I still didn't understand that real estate could be a career. I still was like, oh, I should go get a job, right? Like my travel's over, I should get a job. And so that's what I did. I made it about 18 months there before quitting, going real estate full time. That whole time I was networking, I was paying for real estate education. I was going to local meetups. I was doing every single thing I could to kind of, I knew that this is what I was supposed to do. I just didn't know how. So I was meeting everyone I could. And 18 months came by and I had enough confidence to quit my job, but it definitely took some confidence.
I love stories like this because for the people that are stuck in the 9 to 5 grind, that are gritting their teeth and disliking what they're doing day for day, but they were sold into the dream that you go to school, you get a good job, and you ride it out till retirement, right? So to hear a story like this, where, there's an alternative way to make money, there's an alternative lifestyle. After 3 rental properties, you were able to travel the world for a year. I think it's kind of comical that then you went and got a job. That must have felt truly suffocating to you, especially after having that complete freedom and flexibility for a year.
Yes.
And so I'm just curious for you, for people listening, if you take yourself back to that very green, brand new landlord, or like you said, housing provider, what are some mistakes that you made or ahas that you wish you would have had insight on buying those first couple places out of the gate?
Mm-hmm. That's a good question. The number one, I would say, and again, I got lucky with those college boys, but screening is so important. I have, over the years, I didn't share yet, I don't think, that in the last 3 years, we've bought about 60 doors and currently have about 75 from the last decade I've been buying. So I've had a lot of leases. I've had a lot of people come through. I've placed a lot of bad residents. Like I've made, I don't even want to do the math, tens of thousands of dollars worth of mistakes in screening and placements and taking someone for their word on something, or so, oh, you can pay the deposit later. No, none of that. You have to treat everyone the same. So, here in the US, we're really big on fair housing. I'm sure Canada has, similar laws in place. And so fair housing says I have to treat everyone the same. And that means that I have systems and processes. And when I was getting started, I didn't have a lot of that because I didn't know better. And so I was, oh yeah, it's this way today and it's this way tomorrow. And it was really shooting me in the foot. So you have to look at, we are checking background and credit and previous housing providers. We're confirming employment. We're looking at references. We're looking at all that stuff, and it takes some time. And when I was starting, I was just skipping it. Hey, can you sign this lease? Can you breathe? Come on down. And it definitely bit me more than once.
Yeah, I bet. So that you were spending the time instead of that upfront time managing issues and
My headaches. Yeah.
headaches. So you obviously have switched up your strategy. If you have, what did you say, 70 some rentals now? You're not still buying it, living in it.
Correct.
So what's your current strategy that you're using?
Yes. So my first 3 were all house hacking, which was incredible strategy. If you're young, or maybe not even young, but if you are just not like super tied down, it is great. The downside is you have to move every year. Otherwise, you're committing mortgage fraud because, the loan types we're getting say that you're going to live in the house. So as long as you can live in it for a year, then you can do this every year. If you're investing in the US, if you wait 2 years, you can actually like save on your taxes. You could do it every 2 years. A lot of people do, but you're right. I did switch up my strategy. I'm not 70 years old. I didn't do this 70 times. I now am buying since really January 2021. So about 4 years and a little change. I've been buying with the BRRRR strategy. So the idea is that we're renovating the property, we're getting it rented out, we're refinancing out of our short-term money into long-term money, and then we're doing the process over and over and over, and that's the last R is repeat.
Okay, fun. And what do you find are your favorite kind of ways of increasing value in the properties?
Ooh, that's good. The key to make the strategy work is that you're buying a property that's distressed. It's under market value because you need the ability to kind of force the value of the property. And if it's helpful for your audience, we can go over an example with some numbers.
That'd be great.
Yeah, you're probably going to laugh at me, but these are Midwest numbers. Okay. So they're going to probably sound a lot lower than you're comfortable with or familiar with. My goal right now, and this has shifted over time as the market shifts, but my current, what we call buy box, is I'm looking for a property that is worth $200,000 once it's fixed up. So that means that if my long-term lender on the refinance is going to lend me 75% of that value, 150K, for this deal to work, for it to be a good BRRRR, BRRRR, then I need to be all in at 75% of the 200K. So that's 150K. I need to be all in. There's three numbers that make up your all in. There's your purchase price, your rehab costs, and then your holding costs, which is finance, title, insurance, taxes, all that business, utilities. So if those three can add up to any combination, you could buy it for 10,000 and put 100 into it. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter the combination as long as you're all in at 150 or less, then you can buy the property. So the key here is you're buying something low enough where you can force the value from, say, I bought it for 100, I put 30 into it, and now it's worth 200.
Yeah. You wave your little magic wand in there. I guess it probably depends on the property, but do you have favorite actual renovations that you do? Is it the kitchen or the bathroom?
So with our housing stock here and my portfolio specifically, we are focused on affordable housing space, but we are providing, I always say, clean, safe, affordable housing. Just because you may not be able to pay top dollar rent doesn't mean you don't deserve clean, safe, and affordable housing. And so that's really my model, my buy box. That said, we're always first focused on function. Does the house operate the way it should? Heating, AC, windows, roof, do all the systems work? So function and safety. We have our fire safety and egress and handrails and all that stuff. So we're always focused on function and safety first. Whatever's remaining in the budget goes to the cosmetics, kitchen, flooring, bath, paint. But we're doing essentially the same renovation across the entire portfolio. I use the same flooring, the same paint, same everything. If you look at our available listings, they're all going to look identical. Yeah.
I like that. And that probably makes it way easier for you if you're going to do maintenance or touch-ups between tenants. It's the same bucket of paint you're sending over there to have the work done. If you have to do a repair, that's genius. I love stuff like that.
So it makes everything standardized. We also get some cost savings because we can buy materials in bulk. You can just buy 10,000 square feet worth of flooring and put it in your next 8 to 10 houses, you know, depending on size. And so you get the bulk pricing and you can just move it across your portfolio.
Yeah. And so how hands-on are you in your portfolio?
It depends. It depends on the week and what's going on. I'm actually pretty hands-off. We do manage everything in-house. That's super important to me. I hired property management in the past. It did not go well for probably all the reasons you've heard. And I brought everything back in-house multiple years ago. And I got really serious about kind of building out our systems. And so it's myself and one full-time employee. We have contract workers for every other, you know, cleaners and lawn and handyman, all that. It is all contract. So it's just me and one full-time employee. And I spend of my own time, I say 4 to 6 hours a week, which is not much.
No. And if you go back to that world that you came from, where you were working for somebody else at a job, where you're probably working the 40-hour work week, right? Just assumptions here, or more, to be able to switch that up and say, I am trading essentially would that be your security? You know, every day you show up to work, you get the paycheck for this newfound freedom you have. You are working less than a normal person's one work day. And that flexibility and the beauty of the lifestyle that you have now versus what you have. And that's not to say it's all easy, right? Can you share some, maybe a pitfall that somebody, like, it's not all roses. We know that. What is something that, I don't know, some hard knock story that you have from being a housing provider?
Where should I start? Where should I start? No, I'm just kidding. You're totally right. It is not all roses by any means. It's probably less roses than it actually is roses. And I will also preface by saying I spend 4 to 6 hours a week, maybe on the long-term management of the rentals. I spend more time buying deals. I educate others. So I still work a lot. I'm a workaholic. So I still am doing a lot. It's just not necessarily the day-to-day management. They say kind of entrepreneurship, as much as you love it, it's like you'll end up working more because it's for you and it's for your family, but also you don't have to do that. A lot of entrepreneurs are like, we just want to work, you know?
It's in our blood. It's in our blood. It truly is. And the more people like you on the show that I have that find that lifestyle freedom, so you have more time in your schedule, they typically are. They're doing the things. They're going out creating their own podcasts. They're writing the books. They're doing all the things, right? Because they have the time and space to do it, and the drive is there.
Exactly right. So even though I'm not spending a ton of time today on the rentals, I have built this whole thing. It was just me for a long time. I've only had a full-time employee for about 2 years. And so I was doing this all myself. My pitfalls, oh goodness. Where should I start? Let me tell you the one about the SWAT team.
Oh, okay.
This is a fan favorite. So it comes down to good screening. It comes down to screening a resident, which I'm going to tell you what I accepted. And you guys in the audience, think to yourself as a housing provider, would you have accepted this? And now the answer is, I hope it's no. A girl moved in to a property that had been vacant for a month. I don't know. I want to say I was like verging on feeling desperate. And so I was like, I just need to get someone in, but don't fall for that. Do not fall for that. Wait for the right resident. So I moved this girl in. Her proof of income, she was a house cleaner. Okay. Her proof of income was just handwritten receipts that in hindsight, they were all in the same pen. They were all like number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in this receipt book. And I'm like, how did I fall for that? How did I fall for that? And so she moves in mid-month. The first month comes around, rent's not paid. I also get a call from the house next door was for sale. And the listing agent somehow got my phone number, gave me a call and is like, hey, your house next to my listing isn't selling because there's like 15 people in and out of the house all day. I'm like, oh no, she didn't pay rent. I get this call. I'm like, oh crap, what's going on? So I go down there and I don't know the exact time it happened, but by the time this all goes down, I drive down, all of the windows in the house have been shot out. I find out later it was by the SWAT team. So the SWAT team raided the property. It was some drug activity, and y'all listen out for this scam. It is pretty common that a group of people will find who's ever in their group with the cleanest criminal record. They will apply for a house and then they take over the house. They basically just take over. And so the SWAT team had been following them. I just was the terrible victim of
Oh no.
dumb who moved this person in. And so it ended up as an insurance claim. You know, they trashed the house. It was terrible. So,
and this is all in a month.
Oh, in less than, yeah. They knew this was not, it was incredibly intentional. I did a lot of research after. I talked to a lot of people. I was like, has anyone experienced this? It's like, it's a common thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Gosh. Well, thanks for sharing that. That was a fun, insightful story.
Yeah, that was a real rad one.
And I want to talk about your book. What's going on there?
So it just launched, Rentals Made Easy. Just launched a couple months ago. So, fairly fresh. And it's a step-by-step plan, exactly what we talked about: buy, renovate, rent, refinance, repeat, and ongoing care. I literally break down every single step of the method, checklists, worksheets. We have a bunch of resources online that go along with the book that you can download. And it is my entire method, all the lessons I've learned, some student success stories, all of that really in a couple hours worth of reading. It is on Amazon. And we have the paperback, as you see, and then also a Kindle version if you are an e-reader like I am.
Okay, fun. So Rentals Made Easy. So you're trying to help the everyday person who's sitting at that 9 to 5 basically have a blueprint to go out and do this kind of thing.
Exactly.
Because
right.
not everybody has a peer group of people who are going out and doing this thing. So you feel like that idea is far out of reach, right? So if you have somebody like you in their back pocket with a book like that.
Yes. I will say, when I was going the 18 months that I had my second W-2, once I moved here to Columbus, I was going to all these networking events and I was just meeting regular everyday people. Because in my mind, I thought a real estate investor was in a suit and drove a Ferrari and was like an asshole. I don't know if I can say that, but it was like just a bad person. And so to get in a room with other investors doing the same thing and having challenges and learning that they're just regular people like you and me, that switched in my brain like what was possible. And so, you say getting in the room and getting that support. We have a mastermind program where I take people through the methods step by step, whether it's with me, whether it's locally in your real estate networks, whatever. Get around those people. I cannot emphasize it enough. It took me from side hobby to this is my career.
Yeah, that's so true. And nowadays, with having podcasts at your fingertips and YouTube videos at your fingertips, Amazon, click it and the book shows up. Or if you get the digital copy, it's instant, right? You have access to all of these resources to start getting into that world. And then, yes, show up in the rooms where the people are and build those connections, because then it's going to feel possible to you.
Yeah, exactly right. And once you find out that investors are just normal people, it's just a totally different ballgame. You're like, wait, I can see myself there. Yeah. It's not such a big jump. So
yeah, that's so true. They're just everyday normal people like me and you going out doing their thing. So I would love for you to share, before we wrap up here, what do you think your biggest piece of advice would be for somebody who is just looking to break away from the traditional 9 to 5 and go out and create a life they love?
Yes. Okay. So it's tricky. I took a pretty big leap myself. Like I just quit. I quit my job without a whole lot lined up. So I would say maybe don't do that. That's very bold. But what I would say is while you're in you've maybe heard this, like you have your 9 to 5 and you also have your 5 to 9. So that's your time afterward. And your 5 to 9, you have kids, you have a family, you have all that. Get through nighttime routine, but you have potentially a couple hours every single night where you could be working on your dream, your side hustle, getting this started. You can make excuses forever. I know a ton of people out there do. Or you could block out time on your calendar, have a concrete plan, have something step by step that you're going through and make tangible progress on it every single night. And then once you look at your finances, a lot of people say I need to replace my full income before I quit. I find that if you quit a little sooner than that, it's going to give you a little more motivation and it opens up that time. But I don't know that I would advise like quit day one. I don't know. What do you tell people?
I'm 100% on that. And especially like I know there's creative financing and stuff, but I think if you're planning on making real estate a piece of your future plan, I definitely think keeping that job, especially out of the gate to get those first couple properties, is really, really important. It just, it gives you that peace of mind, and the lenders look at you better, because once you don't have a regular job, the lenders, they find you a little bit more scary, is what one broker told me. They're like, you're a little bit more scary to the banks because you don't have the normal paperwork.
Right. And I don't know if Canada, do you have like hard money lenders really?
We do. Yeah.
So we use hard money lenders. We use private money. We use DSCR lenders where they actually don't care that I don't have a job. They've never cared from day one. So there are lenders that like kind of specialize in investors, but I do agree. Get your, here in the US, you can have 10 conventional loans under Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. And so get your 10 while you have a job. And then, you're going to be their preferred terms. And then you're going to put time out of those anyways. So take the jump at that time.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Jessie. I think people just from listening to you can see you are a normal person going out here doing the seemingly big thing, right? To say that you have the amount of doors that you do. So where can people reach out and catch more of what you have to share?
Yeah, so we have a little mini course where I am going over the method in much more detail: buy, renovate, rent, refinance, repeat. We'll have a link in the show notes and it's completely free. I talked you through the whole method. It's with me. And then there is an application there. If it's something you wanted to work together on, you could learn more about the program. If you're like, hey, this is great, then, I'm glad you got to watch.
Okay, perfect. I will make sure that is all linked in the show notes for everyone. And thanks so much for joining me on the show today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.